Hello, YouTube! I'm back. If you don't know me, my name is Mariah, and I love to talk about all things esoteric and especially the goddess. And I wore my Aphrodite shirt on this beautiful Venus Friday. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the alternative to all religions. Yes, all of them. Yes, I said that. And no, I cannot take that claim as being coined by myself. Gotta give credit where credit is due, and that credit is due to the wonderful Mr. John Lamb Lash. If you have seen any of my recent videos, you will probably have heard that name before, or on my Twitter. And who he is he is a Gnostic teacher that has restored as best as he can, with his own research, with his own diving deep in trance and really fleshing out this narrative from different sources and in his own mystery sects. He's really fleshed out this whole ancient Gnostic narrative that we lost and was recently resurfaced. So I will touch on that and I'll give you all the details. And I talk about him all the time, and I always feel like when I do talk about him, people can just brush it off and be like, oh yeah, she's just getting this from whatever, this guy. However, I talk about him all the time because before I had read his book, seen any of his videos, listened to his talks, I have had certain things happen, certain synchronicities, in dreams, in meditation, in different shamanic practices that I found later had already gone over, had already touched on in his book, on his website and different things like that. So when I started to piece together my own real experience that I have, especially like the dream ones really freaked me out, where I had experienced something in a dream and, I'll listen to one of his talks and he will explain that and what is happening with that. And I just think that's so crazy. And so I do my best now because this narrative has really shifted, really changed my life and really opened it up to new levels that I didn't even know were possible. I do my best to share that narrative and to keep perpetuating it from my own perspective. And, I've got a bit of a different audience than him. And I really just love to share this because whenever I do share it with people, especially with women, they just tell me how liberating it is and how more magical their life becomes once this story really sinks in, and once you know that it's not just some random myth. The myth is alive and it continues with your participation. Also, just a side note, my cat is being a little testy, so you might hear him in the background like scratching stuff, but whatever, he's fine. He just had food, but I think he's worried because he saw an empty food bag and he's like, where is more? Anyways, the alternative to all religions is ancient Gnosticism. And I'm not talking about Gnostic Christianity that they try to make a thing on different outlets on YouTube. I've seen it on Gaia, the streaming site, in different new age communities and stuff like that too. Gnostic Christianity to me is just another control method of trying to get people into that Abrahamic religion of you were born a sinner and you need to repent and you're guilty for all these things and you are stuck in this flesh prison and this is a prison planet that you're also stuck on and everything just sucks for you because you were born here. That's not it. That is more of the control mechanism to make people subservient, to make them feel guilty, which puts them in a state of fear and anxiety. Because if people knew the alternative that ancient Gnosticism provides, their churches would go bankrupt. Like, there's literally no reason for them to exist. I mean, I know that. I know a lot of people know that. But a lot of people don't have that alternative narrative because we're a story species. For ever since humanity has been around, we've been passing down oral traditions. We've been gathering around and telling our creation myths, our stories, our parables, all those things, they guide us, they guide humanity. And excuse me, sorry, when you have a story that tells you you're guilty and wrong for being born, and you've got to go through all this karma to even get to anywhere where you want to be, like, it's just not a good start. And it is a lie. It's a lie. Like, once you get familiar with the alternative, you're like, okay, yeah, now it makes sense why they want to keep us in that state. So, the alternative. If you've seen some of my videos, I'm sure that you have heard of this, but I'm going to flesh it out again because I just never want to stop talking about this story. So, this is a narrative that has a beginning for humanity. It has, details about how Earth was formed, and it doesn't have an end because we are living it out and we are interacting with it every day. So let's go to the beginning. So the story starts with a location. That location is the center of our Milky Way galaxy. So according to this narrative that has been greatly fleshed out by John Lamb Lash, and once I've done my own meditations, it just kind of opens up new places for you to go. So the narrative begins in our galactic core. This is called the pleroma. If you know anything about Gnosticism, you've heard that word before. It means the fullness, but JLL locates it to our galactic core. And in our galactic core, through the galactic core, there is another space. I don't want to say it's dimension, but it's another realm, you could call it. If you hear things referring to heaven, I believe that this would be the place, the location. And in this place, in the pleroma, our galactic core, this is where giant creator beings live. And they are not like humans. They are basically intelligent torrents of energy that end up being like shaped like snakes. I don't know if you've ever seen how energy moves, but it ends up like snaking, like, in telluric paths on Earth and in space, they have that shape. So this is where it comes from. It comes from our creators. And, right away we've got something that's totally way different than the Abrahamic narrative that there's only one God and he made you and you're already screwed up and good luck. So there's these creator beings. They live and create like, I don't know what the word for it is, like little like protein nucleic acid packages together in male and female pairs. So they're called Aeons. They exist in male female pairs, and they do their creation together in a way that's like they twist around each other. It becomes like an ecstatic dance, and it's just about creation purely for creation's sake. It's not about making something perfect or making something right. It's about creating something, and they make the little protein nucleic acid package, whatever it is, and then they will send it from the core on these I can't think of the word for it, like a telluric path through the material realm, which is called the kenoma. So from the galactic core into where we are, into the arms of the Milky Way. And this is actually called panspermia. It's a working theory that's already been out there. And so they will send this, and it will catch on these certain streams and will eventually go and land in a space somewhere in the Milky Way, in the arms, to generate life and become a creation. And from there, it's just an experiment. Aeons do not, typically, I'm going to get into more of this, Aeons don't intervene beyond, some some control from outside, but they don't typically intervene in their experiments. The whole point of creation and making these experiments is to see how it goes, to see what happens, to be like, oh, let's do this, let's create this planet, let's create this system, let's create this being, send it out, see how she goes, and if we need to intervene, we will, but that's not typical of what they do. So that's a little rundown on the Aeons. So specifically for our story, we had a male-female Aeonic couple that created the human genome. And they created the human genome to be super genius, super smart, have a lot of the traits that they do. Like, this is the Aeons creating a being that can fully interact with the rest of their creations, and it's made in their imagination, and they're imagining the most beautiful thing, how we can interact, how we can love, how we can take care of our environment. All of those things is what they're imagining for us, and how we will be, and that is the creation of the human genome. So that's all well and good. I'm going to make this part like a little bit quick. There were different versions of humans that just would be sent out, and eventually we would just like all kill ourselves. Like, it would just did not work. So being that they are technically parents of a human genome, there's a mother and a father. The mother she's a relatively young Aeon. She doesn't have a lot of experience. This is kind of like her first big project, and she's like, man, like, how can I get these humans to realize their full potential and become what we have dreamed of them becoming, and what we created them for, and she's worried, she's that worried mother trying to think of a solution for her children, us, her luminous child as humanity. And so as she's doing this, she is doing this imagining on her own, which is a big no-no, because you're supposed to do everything in a balanced male-female pair to get both energies to create a balanced product. So because she was unilaterally imagining a solution for humanity, just by the nature of her as a creative being, that, we experience it now. We can think of something and it's delayed, yeah, but we can think of something and it will manifest in our reality. Like, that's a real thing that happens to us. So that's got to come from somewhere. Comes from the Aeons, and it is like on just levels that we cannot imagine. So because she was doing this without her male counterpart, and because she was trying to imagine a solution for humanity to thrive and survive, just because she is that creative being, a part of her, not her whole being, but a part of her, the dreaming part of her that was imagining these solutions herself, shot out from the galactic core and into the Milky Way arms, where they send their creations. So this is the first anomaly. This is anomaly number 1 in a series of anomalies. And this, I'll tell you later where the story is found, but I would just like to get the whole story out there because it is incredible. And if you've never heard this, and you're used to the Christian story, or Abrahamic story, or whatever have you, it's just like, it's just so unheard of. And you're like, there's no way that could be true, but truth is often way stranger than the fiction that they feed you. So she unilaterally, without her male partner, fell into the Milky Way. And because of that, as she fell out, because she wasn't doing this with her male counterpart, right away she produced a second anomaly, which was a complete accident, did not see it coming. She accidentally birthed and this is what they call it in the text, they call it an aborted fetus. My cat's going crazy. She had this like offshoot because of the deficiency that she had because she didn't imagine a solution with her male partner. She basically gave birth to like the anti-life male because she didn't include her male partner in the dreaming of what was the solution for humanity. So this is a complete accident. And she did this and she saw it and she was horrified. She was like, what the hell is this ugly thing? It is so gross. It's not formed. She was like, oh, I can't believe I did this. I really hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass. It does. And she sees it. She's like, ew. And she sends it because she's still, as this is happening, she's barreling through space. As this like offshoot of her dreaming is physically happening in the material realm. And so she's like, okay, bye. I'm sending you away. See you later. I've got other stuff to deal with. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with me and I don't need this. And so she sends him away. She buries him in clouds somewhere in the galaxy. And she's like, okay, hopefully I don't have to deal with that later. So as she's still barreling through the Milky Way arms, she is trying to think of a solution. She's like, okay, what is the best place for humanity to live? Well, it's a 3-bodied system, the planet, a satellite to regulate the tides, and a close by star for heat for life. Okay, so that is her plan. She's like, okay, great. How am I going to do this? I'm still barreling through space. She's got the human genome attached to her, and she is just trying to do her best. She's like, I don't know what's happening. And as she's doing this, the aborted fetus that she left, who is known as the demiurge or Yaldabaoth or Jehovah, wink wink, he is in his own little clouded thing and he's like, there's nobody around here. I must be the only one, and I've got these creative powers from my mother, and I am the be all, the end all. I am the omega, alpha, everything. Boom, boom, boom. Now that I have these creative powers, let me like make my little minions. And he created the 7 heavens, or the 7 lifeless planets that surround us. So he even said, he was like, I'm the only one, there's nobody else. And as soon as he said that, our mother, who I haven't even told you the name of her name is Sophia, or Sophia, our Aeonic mother, as soon as he said, I'm the only one, she shows up and she's like, you're not, dude. I literally gave birth to you and you were a mistake. And please just make your own stuff, have fun, and leave me alone. She's like, you can have life, like you can do what you'd like to do, but just don't bother me and we will be fine. And he's like, somebody said what? Like I can't hear you. And that is why we have that famous quote of there will be no other gods but me and I'm a jealous God and blah 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 blah, is because the demiurge, Jehovah, Yadabaoth, Yahweh, knew that there was a greater power than him already, and he was already trying to be like, Lily, don't look at that, don't look over there, like, I control you, I know everything, blah, blah, blah. So he is building his lifeless planets, and as he's doing that, Sophia's still barreling through space, and the human genome actually got sheared. And it got sheared, and she left the male shearing of it. This is the separation of the sexes. she left the male part of it in the Orion system because she was like, okay, pause. Like, I need to figure this stuff out. You can stay here. You can gestate. But it was sheared, and so she was still carrying that female part of the human genome. So males are over there. She's got the female genome attached to her. She's still barreling through space. And eventually she is going from Orion, where she had left the male genome. And she's just getting compelled by the demiurge, by the archons. And as she's kind of heading that direction, like, she gets trapped in their 7-body system, the lifeless planets. And this is when she starts to curl into her own fetus position, and her dream body actively becomes the setting for humans to thrive. She turns her dream body into Earth. Okay? So she has the female genome with her, and that's why we have Mother Earth. Earth is very feminine. It always has been referred to as a feminine planet. And this is because Sophia fell and became planet Earth with the female genome attached to her. Which is why the first humans were all female. And that is also why, if you're a dude, when you're born, you are actually, sorry, I shouldn't say when you're born, when you're first in the womb, for the first couple months, you are a female. And then eventually you become male. But all babies in the womb begin as females. And that is just adds to this whole narrative. So she's becoming planet Earth, and her tears are forming the salt water because she's panicked and she's like, I don't know what's going on. Her sweat is the sweet water. Her blood is the volcano and the eruptions, and her joy is the land and the flowers, all of these emotions that she is experiencing, because she is experiencing emotions because she has no idea what's going on, become our planet. And I don't know about you, but I've never heard a more beautiful story than that. But the story isn't over. Of course, the story is still continuing because we are living our lives in her dream body. And her dream body as Earth is supporting us. And because she was dreaming of solutions for us to thrive, she knew that she would have to somehow give each of us direct instruction. Like, so direct that we think it's us. It's not us. That voice that we hear inside, our intuition, that comes from either our third eye or our heart or our body knowledge, that is Sophia on the inside talking to us, getting us to move and to trust her in a way that she can take care of us, not only naturally, but supernaturally. There's a reason why it's called super nature. Like, it's still nature. It's still Sophia. And it's Gaia. And if you've seen any of my work before, I refer to her as gaia-sophia. And she is here imminently. She is the goddess who made us, who created the human genome, who is from this completely other realm. She is here, embedded in this planet, embedded in our bodies, talking to us all the time. And she's the reason for synchronicity. She's the reason why when you think of something and you want to manifest something, that you have to think about it and you have to let it go because she is bringing it to you. And when you don't trust that and you try to do it and get in front of her and get in the way, it just screws everything up. I speak from experience. A lot of experience of testing that when I've been in, some major pinches in my life, and I've had to just be like, Gaia-sophia, this is all you. I can't do anything. Please take over. And you know what? And you know what she often does is she will give me like a little like mantra or like a spell, and it like rhymes almost every time. All right. And she's like, just say this and it'll be done. You know, because it's not like, I mean, and she can read what you are thinking. She has your awareness, and our goal is to gain her awareness. And she gives it freely. She does. She gives it freely. And having that awareness is having that bigger perspective of knowing that we are all in this shit together. And that there is a force actively working against us. And that is the demiurge that she created by accident, and he, you know, made his own little minions, and that's why in our day-to-day life we have things that aren't good for us, that aren't healthy for us, that are, you know, too electric for us, for our bodies to handle. And that all comes from the demiurge, who happens to be the tribal god of the Jews, who happens to be the Jehovah of the Christians, who happens to be Allah of the Muslims. That is a false god. Sorry, guys. Like, it's not that you weren't created from something beautiful and divine. It's just that your idea of who created you, that he made you a sinner, and he also created the planet, but he doesn't know how. And he can't tell you how Earth was formed. He can't tell you where he comes from. You can't like consult anybody else other than him. Like, those are just like red flags after red flags after red flags. You know, and I grew up in a Christian school. I went to church. I did all these things, and I always found that whenever I tried to reach out to God as Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever, beep, 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 like, line was just dead, you know? But when you start to interact with and respond to gaia-sophia, your life becomes incredibly alive. Like, it's actually crazy. It's insane. I want you, if you take nothing else from this video, I want you just to try, instead of saying, if you know, dear God or whatever, or probably if you're watching my video, you're probably not a Christian anyways. So instead of saying, you know, dear universe, or dear source, or dear infinite intelligence, say gaia-sophia. Say mother of my life. Say mother of all life, of earth, of everything, you know, and that engages her awareness, and you are you're always on her radar, but it's like you're ready. She knows that you're ready to interact when you start to call her out by name, because it's not like she's just like sitting there twiddling her thumbs. Like, she's busy. She's trying to get this back on track, and she is getting it back on track. It's just that her time is, because of the size of her, I don't remember the conversion, JLL did it, but it's like, you know, 108 days is maybe like a millisecond of her time, like something crazy like that, where it's a long time for us, but it's a very short time for her. And, you know, she is getting this experiment back on track, and you can tell from the awakenings that people have gone through, where you can see the archontic minions are trying to, you know, take over and make everything digital and make you in their metaverse and give you an alternative Earth that's better, but nothing is better than the real thing. We have divinity at our fingertips at all times, and it's just so available to us that we kind of don't see it. We just kind of look right over it. And just that it is so available, so ready, you know, all we have to do is observe. And this is physics. This is the observer effect. I'm sure you've seen that video where if you're observing molecules, they will behave how you expect them to behave. If you don't observe them, they are just a wave, you know? And this is, you know, the basis for our reality, because we are living in Sophia's dream. So you got to think, if you're dreaming, all of the characters and the beings and everything that's going on in your dream is actually an extension of you. the same way that we are in Sophia's dream right now, as the earth is her dream body, we are all extensions of her that she can access, and that she can direct, and she can guide, and she can be like, hey, this is what you want, this is how to get to it, and I will take you there if you trust me to do that. And that is the hardest part, that trust. Fuck, again, I speak from experience, like, it's really hard just to like take your hands off and just let everything unfold in the best way possible, because she's not called the wisdom goddess for nothing. You know, that even in Proverbs, there's or Solomon, Psalms, he does odes to Sophia all the time, and how she sweetly orders all things. You know, it's like, it's just, you can't expect how things are going to unfold, because you don't have that brain capacity that she does. What you have is the ability to interact with her, to observe her, to love her, to see her, and then she can do the same for you. And she can guide you, because you will hear her if you acknowledge her. It's a two-way street. It's like, you have to make that connection, because otherwise, if you don't think that she exists, like, she could be in front of you and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the mistress of Satan, or whatever the fuck they want to call women these days, you know, or, you know, the Magdalene the whore. All these things are just so sinister and so evil, because we actually have a story that sets us free. And when we are in tune with Gaia-sophia's dreaming, we don't need that story. We don't need any of that. We know that we were born divine and perfect and amazing, and our environment is already divine and perfect and amazing, and we are meant to be so symbiotic with each other, with animals, with the plants, with all things nature, that we don't need these distractions of working like a stupid job behind a computer. Like, all of these things are meant to distract us, because it is so easy to find Sophia. And you know what? I gotta give it to them. Archons have done a pretty good job of distracting us from her, but not good enough, because her story was revealed and literally resurfaced in 1945 as found in the Nag Hammadi codices, in these little jars that they found in a freaking cave in Egypt. And they were about to be burned, and they were like, actually, wait, this might be something. And they found 13 books, including the story of Sophia. That is, all this stuff is biblical times. Like, it's all around the same time that these were written. And there's some books in there from, like, the Gospel of Thomas, the Sophia of Jesus Christ, the Apocryphon of John. My favorite, if you're going to check it out, my favorite is On the Origin of the World. I think that is a perfect summary of all this stuff. And it's straight from, you know, an ancient source. It's not just a modern thing, you know. And you can also read the book Against Heresies by Irenaeus. I don't remember when it was written, but Irenaeus is, you know, like, actually, I have no idea when it's from, but it's old. And I've heard of Irenaeus before, and I want to say he's Greek, but I don't actually remember. And in that, they detail the heretical beliefs of the ancient Gnostics, and how what they believe is entirely crazy and wild, but they detail what they believed, and they say, you know, the mother Achamoth or Achamoth, who is Sophia, and they say Achamoth Sophia, I say both ways, is the mother of humanity, and she formed the earth with her tears and her sweat and her blood and her, you know, all these things. All of that is in that text too. So it's not like this is all just coming from, you know, my dreams or John Lamb Lash's dreams. He's done a very good job of piecing together these real sources from different places, different materials, and put them together with his own experience and formed a narrative. So if you really like this narrative, like I like this narrative, I do recommend that you check out sophianicmyth.org, which is by John Lamb Lash. I'll put the link in the description, because it's a beautiful retelling of this, and he does it like a screenplay. And it's just, it's just gorgeous what he's done with this story. And I just really would love for more people to know this narrative, because I was tainted by Christianity for such a long time. I would think, oh, there's nothing really big out there who is divine and cares about me and wants me to thrive. There's just this being who is telling me that I'm sinful for doing these things, and that I need to be punished and I'm gonna go burn in hell. Like that just didn't resonate with me. And it's because it's a lie. It's a lie from an accident that was created, and he took over to make humanity believe that he is their creator because he is jealous. Ha ha ha. And this is what it says in those texts as well, that he is jealous of humanity because of our capabilities, and that we were intentionally made by the same mother. Like, he's kind of like our cousin. Like, well, I guess demiurge might technically be like our sibling, but the archons and stuff, like, those are our, like, kind of like screwed up cousins, And it's just, we need to know that part of the story as well, because it is really important for us to know that there indeed is something working against humanity. It's not just all rainbows, butterflies, nature is amazing and loves us. Like, yes, she does, but she needs to access us for a reason, to get rid of the archons and for us to stop interacting with them, to stop giving them control, to stop giving them the power to distract us from what is real and divine and beautiful. Because that's right in front of us, baby, and she just wants us to see her. And to see her, we need to know who she is. We need to know her story, her role in our lives, and how interactive it becomes once we know her story. Because as soon as we know her story, it's like you become resonant with her. You vibrate on her frequency, and she can then transmit more information to you. And a lot of that comes, it comes in your dreams. It comes right to your third eye. And, one of the first things that I did before I even found John Lamb Lash is I just had this vision when I was in the shower of a blue phoenix erupting and coming out from my third eye, and then like engulfing me in that light. So that's a really quick, easy visualization to attune you to Sophia. I have a video of all these different things you can do to attune to her. I have a little blurb on her story if you prefer to read what I've said. I will put everything in the description box, because the more people that know her story, the more that we can just become intentional and live our lives full of beauty, because she wants to provide for us. We just have to see her for her to do that. So let me know what you think. I love the story and I love sharing it, and I would love to hear your thoughts. If you've ever heard anything like it, I would love to know if there's other myths like it. I feel like there might be in ancient Indian sources, might be the closest. But yeah, that's all I got for today. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for listening. I know this is kind of long, but I love the story so much that I just have to tell it all the time. And I will talk to you later. Bye.